There we go. Welcome, everyone. This is, of course, noon Eastern time. And if you're watching us live, of course, that means it's time for the High Noon Hemp Show, the show that tells you all about hemp in entertaining and informative ways. I'm, of course, Stoner Jesus. I do various things on the interwebs. He is Beach, and he is high. Well, he's not high above the Temptations. He is on the water somewhere in the area on the USS Temptations. Of course, you can find the show if you want to. Facebook, that's Temptations Beach Facebook page. YouTube, that's the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel, and on X or Twitter, whatever it is you call it, at Temptations. With all that out of the way, Beach, how are things this week in the world of Temptations?
Freaking cold.
It is. Yeah.
It's got unbelievably cold last night. But other than that, pretty status quo for the most part in the local or state-wise hemp world, one way or another. Don't forget, folks, and before I forget, thanks everybody for watching the High Noon Hemp Show. If you're watching live, thanks for tuning in. You can message us through Facebook. You can message us through, if I get on the right thing, through the YouTube feed. If I actually get that running. It feels like it's harder for me to find my own live YouTube feed now than it was before, and I don't know why. But anyway, remember, the FDA has not evaluated this show for safety or efficacy. And with that, let's all get together and read our iHemp Revolution Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the hemp fields of America and to the soil in which it is planted. One seed under the sun with responsibility, sustainability, and thrivability for all. Yay! We should all feel good about it. Everybody sit back down now.
That's right.
Probably have to. Most of the people watching this probably don't even have any idea what we're referencing. But yes, we used to have to stand up in class and say the Pledge of Allegiance every day when we were kids. I don't think schools do that anymore. I don't think they do. So anyway, welcome everyone. All right, let's get on with it. Let's get started with the product spotlight. 4 from the store, 1 from my door here on the High Noon Hemp Show. The first one is our Hemptations brand THC 510 carts. So if you got a 510 battery, get one of these. And again, this is locally sourced hemp, Kentucky grown, Kentucky manufactured, processed, everything done basically in Kentucky, pretty close to across the river for that matter. 100% legal. The THC is extracted from industrial hemp. And so there are those. We do card for those for semi-adults and adults to purchase. We don't sell those to kids, just to make sure everyone is aware of that, even though there are actually no laws that say we can't. But we don't because it's the responsible thing to do. Speaking of getting cold, and I think I may have shown these semi-recently, but very apropos now in the high state area. You got top hand gloves. You got a couple different beanie hats. One's actually got a little beam, a little brim, actually. And then the other, is kind of a fold up, and then a scarf to match either one. And again, I think it's gonna stay warmer for a little while, but the fall and definitely has reared its head and is starting to drop into some colder temperatures. So if you're in the area, get yourself prepared, get some warmth to you. How about some Indo wraps? These are hemp, of course, and there's a couple different versions here with the Indos, like the 222s. That's 2 wraps, 2 cones, and 2 filters. And then you've just got wraps with filters and whatnot, and different flavors and whatever. So if you want to see, I have to do funny things. But so if you desire, if you so desire to wrap up your THCA flower, which we now have on the shelves, or your CBD flower, if you have some or whatever, for your legal use. And in Ohio, there is no drug paraphernalia, so you can put whatever kind of cannabis you want in those in Ohio.
Right.
It's true, one way or another. And the last, but not least, again, speaking of the cold weather, now I don't think we're quite ready for hemp hoodlam winter jacket weather, but perhaps you want to get prepared to think about it. And I'm just going to throw it out there. This is like the longest subliminal message you can get. When it does start to really get cold regularly, we will have a really good selection of hemp hoodlam jackets, winter jackets, available. And I'm going to try to probably throw a lot of those online as well, so they'll be available to everyone all over, wherever they may be. And again, these are great winter jackets. I don't care where you live. Yes, the purple ones are very cool. I agree. Purple and green are our colors, so
That's right.
one way or another. But again, great. I don't care where you live. Great winter jackets. I mean, I think these are almost. I don't know that I would say they're Arctic worthy. But I'll say you can wear a T-shirt under one and go out in very, very cold weather, and be fine going from wherever you're going, because they are that warm. Very nice, very nice. So I love. I can't tell you how many hemp hoodlams I have, but you have seen them if you watch the show, or you can go back and watch any one of the winter versions of the High Noon Hemp Show, and you will see plenty of them. And again, this winter, again, you will see plenty of them. So that is, of course, on the What Are You Wearing Beach segment, which you're going to have to just wait just a little bit longer for.
That's right.
But it is coming. Speaking of that, there's the 4 from the store. The one from my door, which is getting some use, are my golf discs. And so I've got a couple putters, a couple mid-range, couple long-range discs there, all made out of hemp composite. So, when I'm done with these, I can feel good. Or if they ever make it into a tree that I can't get them out of, or into the bushes, there's one course here in Cincinnati that is notorious for eating my discs. If nature does take them, I'm okay with that, because they're just going to break down. They will eventually decompose and go back to nature, and not be nearly as bad as a plastic disc made out of petrochemicals, petroleum, so to speak, because they are terrible for the environment when left in the woods, because they'll be there for like whatever, well, I think people wait until the leaves drop, and then they go and they find all the discs that the bushes had eaten. Man. So anyway, there you have it. Here on the High Noon Hemp Show, 4 from the store, 1 from my door, which turned out to be 6 from my door, actually.
Indeed. Of course, brings us to the aforementioned beachwear segment, where you can find out what Beach is wearing, because it's very simple. Beach has a ton of hemp clothing, a ton, more than anyone in the world. Well, there's really no way to know, because the Guinness World Records just doesn't care. So we don't have any official word on whether it is, but I'll say it is. Prove me wrong. Anybody out there, if you have more hemp clothing, step up and show us. Until then, well, Beach is the world record holder in my mind and the mind of the legions and legions of High Noon Hemp Show fans. So, and we've been chronicling it for over 6 years right here on the show every single week when we're live. All I have to do is ask Beach a very simple question. He will tell us all about what he is wearing when I ask, what are you wearing, Beach?
It's true. If you're curious, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you'll know here on the High Noon Hemp Show. And I do feel like, I don't maybe missed a dozen a dozen weeks in the 6 years. So maybe, I don't even know. I doubt it. But let's go ahead and jump into it. On the top there is my Evo Hemp hat. I also wearing a Young Maven Hemptations University. That was made right here at the Planet Everywhere Productions or manufacturing. This is actually Planet Everywhere Productions. Kentucky Hemp Outfitter jeans, breaking out the jeans. I mean, I had to.
Yeah.
I really should have a jacket on, as far as how cold it was this morning. But in my pocket there, you'll see my Green Springs Technology pen, as always.
Mm-hmm.
And then underneath it all is a pair of Hemptopia briefs. Got a pair of Satori Cantilever socks. And then those are Dakota Adidas, which are they don't make a whole lot of the Dakota. And I don't even know. I have not researched how many different versions of a Dakota they have made. They've got a lot of shell toes. They make a lot of Sambas, and some other shoes. But this is kind of one of more on the rare ones. I think this might have been designed by a skateboarder. It's hard to say. I don't know for sure. Something tells me that, but I don't know positively that's the case. Yeah, this is probably the only version of Adidas Dakotas that I have in hemp. And if you've watched the show even a little bit, you know that I have quite a bit of pairs of Adidas hemp shoes.
Yeah.
And so, all right, there you have it. If you're curious, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you know on this fine high noon hemp day. Hemp day. Keep forgetting to throw that in there. It just hit me recently that I should be going hemp day. If only I could turn my face into a camel.
Yeah.
Real quick there. If I was fancy with the technology, I probably could.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Actually, I guess I really should turn myself into a big hemp leaf if it's going to be hemp day. So, all right. Well, let's get on with a little commercial break, and then we'll come back with the news. For wanting to save the earth or a healthy lifestyle? Well, maybe Hemptations is what you need. Hemptations is safe to take in any dose and will not cause horrible side effects. Take when needed for happiness and clean earth. Hemptations is available 7 days a week. Consult your local internet for more information on hemptations.com. Taking Hemptations includes food, CBD, body products, clothing and accessories, paper, pet goods, and much, much more. There is no cure for wanting hemp. Having Hemptations.
There you go.
And there you have it. Get yourself some Hemptations and get some happiness in your life.
That's right.
Excuse me. Boy, that commercial break was a little coffee. So here's there's a lot of stuff going on in Texas. Apparently, again, they're making their second attempt to make Delta 8 illegal and doing some crazy stuff. So this was a comic that had, I think, made its way actually around the country, more or less, kind of. And I'm honestly, I might be slightly confused by it. I'm not really sure what this is supposed to illustrate, other than there's a struggle in Texas with hemp laws and what's legal and what's not legal. I know that just recently there was a woman arrested in Texas for legally purchasing a product, and they brought felony charges against her. I think that was possibly in some small town in Texas, and they have been through this at least a year or two ago with Delta 8. And so there's still obviously quite a bit of confusion in Texas as to what is going on, which really, does not surprise me, because once again, like I said, I think the legislative body now is again trying to do some things with the Delta 8 and whatnot. I don't think it's really going well for them one way or another. So we'll keep everybody informed in that. They haven't done anything recently, but I know there was a lot of talk, and so I think they're trying possibly to do something. So CBG and THCV may show promise for neuroprotective functions. Now, I know I just talked about how a study was showing that the CBG, and this maybe kind of tied in, was possibly good for the memory and things like that. Obviously, that makes sense. Now, cell models show that CBG, CBC, CBN, and CBDV, and mouse models of CBN show that they have anti-cancer effects on blood cancer. Okay, so they did a cell model on the first four I talked about, and they also did a mouse study for the CBN, and all of that showed that CBD, or all of those substances, I should say, may have anti-cancer effects on blood cancer. And this is not the first cancer that we have seen cannabinoids successful in fighting, sustaining. Sometimes it's just they just sustain the growth of the cancer. Sometimes they actually fight against the cancer. And again, these are studies. I'm not giving any medical advice in any way, but these are what the studies have shown. I think that's one reason why eventually we will figure out that a full spectrum cannabis with equal levels of a lot of different cannabinoids may be what you do instead of chemo. And this is years away after we prove all this stuff, through science. And the FDA says, yes, you can do that. Anyway, but again, we can't do the true medical studies that we want to do in the United States until they unschedule. And I'm for unscheduling. I'm not for rescheduling. I'm for unscheduling. It needs to be unscheduled. Rescheduling is great and all because it does open the pathway for medical studies, but it will still put more provisions over the plant in the hands of the government and certain regulatory businesses such as pharmacies and whatever. And so we need to be real careful with that. But anyway, we'll see what happens. I think it should be unscheduled. I think they're going to reschedule instead of deschedule. That's what it is. Or unschedule. Anyway, looks like Tennessee, if you live in Tennessee, they are going to make THCA illegal. Okay, that's a big deal because and again, I don't believe that. Someone will have to let me know if you're in Tennessee or is Tennessee medical? I'm pretty sure they're not personal use, but if they are medical, that might be interesting. And this is the interesting thing is they're going to make it, and I can't for the life of me figure out how. Here we go. But I don't know how they're going to do this, but they say they're going to test the THC after burning. So I don't know. I honestly am not. My science head says, how are they going to test the THC after burning? And so I think that would take a special machine. But anyway, I can see how they could possibly do it. I guess if they design a machine that would suck the smoke in, light it, and test that. I don't know, but I don't want to give them any ideas. But apparently that's what they're going to try to come up with was what the THC level is after burning and then base their laws on that. So interesting things going on in Tennessee. We'll see how that how all that pans out. Article seeds are the most underrated superfood. Here's how to add them to your diet. Now, I think this is not the next picture, but the picture under that, which is actually words. Um, basically, what they say is it's that the seed has a nutty flavor to it, and so anything that you're okay adding the seed to that you okay having a slightly nutty flavor on its own, and then it's good. Like over oatmeal, over you can put it just about on anything. Like even if you sprinkled some whole seed over your spaghetti, you wouldn't taste it, but the nutritional value would be there. Honestly, a tablespoon or two over just about anything that would probably work would be the way to go. This is also a pesto recipe and a milk recipe there. So if you're interested in making hemp pesto and or hemp milk, and we've put hemp milk recipes up before, it's very, 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 very simple. I think the pesto is pretty simple in itself as well. So those are a couple easy ways to use hulled seed, and the hulled seed is the inside. You've got the outside, which is that hard shell, the shell of the seed, and then you have the inside, and more, we're definitely seeing it sold as hulled. Whole seed is very rare. Sometimes you'll see it, but it's the hulled seed because you can eat the whole seed. It's very crunchy. I attribute it to popcorn. Like there's no way you're not getting out with something stuck in between a tooth when you eat the whole seed. There used to be, I think we called it, they were indica seeds, possibly is what the name of the company was. I forget, but they were roasted. And so roasting the whole seed and then seasoning it was very good. It was very delicious. I think it made it a little less hard and crunchy, not much, but a little bit, like it was easier to chew. Um, and so that's really about the only way that I've seen the whole seed marketed in the past. And so now it's all about the hulled seed, which is that inside part, which is where all the nutritional value is uh, anyway. And so all that protein and those minerals and those omega, those essential fatty acids and all those things are in that hulled. And every grocery store has it. You may have to look on a particular shelf somewhere. It might not be, out in plain sight, but just about every grocery store that I have ever been in has a bag of seeds. There are a lot of different companies at this point. Manitoba is the big one. So if your grocery store sells Manitoba, you can trust they're the real deal. Not that you couldn't trust anyone else being the real deal, to be honest with you. But there is that. So hopefully you've had enough time to get a screenshot of that. If not, then you can go back later and do it on YouTube or here. Watch again.
Right.
All right. So there is a new bill that has been introduced by good old Rand Paul of Kentucky that raises the THC level of hemp. Now this is a federal bill, and I don't know what else is going on with this bill or what not. And all I can say there is I don't understand why then Rand Paul would not be trying to get this pushed through the new farm bill. I realize he may not be on the farm bill committee, but I feel like there's got to be a way to be like, okay, this is what we want to do. Why don't we try to do this? Because everybody's for it. Everybody in the industry is for raising the THC limit. Okay, there's zero reason why we shouldn't at this point. And so, and once again, I want to reiterate that the food industry doesn't care or shouldn't care because there is no THC in the seed. That what we were just talking about, that hulled part for sure, zero THC in that. The fiber industry, for the material, the composite, whatever, out of the actual fiber, it doesn't matter. There's no THC in that either. The only industry that it matters is the flower industry. So the only industry that even matters how much THC is in the flower is when you're growing for the flower, which is, the CBD, the THCA, the CBN, CBG. We can boost all these numbers in the flower. And they're the only ones that, in all honesty, that it matters. Now, I'm going to go find this bill because maybe that's what Rand Paul wants to do, is raise the THC level in just those, the grain and the fiber. So if you're growing for grain or fiber, you can have a higher THC limit, because, that has been proposed or is being proposed. And that's a great first start, to be honest with you. If we have to divide up hemp in the new farm bill in some way, then we should divide it up by flour, grain, and fiber. And the grain and fiber should be exempt of the THC percentage, and then just regulate how much CBD is in, or how much THC, I'm sorry, is in the flower of industrial hemp. Right now we have 0.3%. 1% would be the next move. Honestly, it's not like it's going to wreak havoc in the world. It's not. And again, it's a mood issue when it comes to the grain or the fiber or the stalk, the bast, the shiv that we build houses out of. Same thing. None of that has THC in it anyway. And if we need some science to prove that, then someone do a study to prove that, which would just be testing all the parts of the plant for THC, which I think would be quite easy. Just carry the whole plant in there, root and all. Start chopping it up. Here's the leaves. Test these for THC. Here's the stalk. Test this. Here's some fiber. Test this. Here's some grain. Here's some hulled seed. Test this. Blah, blah, blah. And see what happens. And I think the way to go there is to even go with a high THC. When you test it, test the high THC plant. Because when the seed comes up 0 in a high THC plant, then you'll know there's no seed in industrial hemp, or there's no THC in hemp, because the percentages are much lower. So that's the way it should be in a perfect hemp world. Well, in a perfect hemp world, we wouldn't have any of this testing. So what am I saying? That's not a perfect hemp world. In a perfect hemp world, we grow hemp like it's corn, soy, or cotton. Easy peasy. Just if you do the exact same things you do if you're just a regular old farmer to grow hemp. So until those days come, we're still going to be here, probably doing the High Noon Hemp Show at the very least. And so so apparently we have the Cannabinoid Safety and Regulation Act to worry about. Okay, now it would not ban any cannabinoids except synthetically made. Okay, so I had to read this again to make sure I was doing this right. Okay, but it would put age requirements and put regulations under the FDA and limit terpenes to 6%. And I can seriously do nothing but laugh at this. Like, who wrote this? And who told them that terpenes are like the thing we should be worrying about? Sometimes I'm just baffled at our government, because again, this just shows, because this is more morally based. This is not based on any type of science that says we should do any of these things. This is more based on morals and saying that certain people shouldn't have this, or we deem this to be unsafe or sinful. And so therefore we want extra stuff on it. But no one cares what the percentage of terpenes is. No one. And I mean, now I want to see, like, now I'm gonna have to like start checking our COAs for the terpene content just to even see what the average terpene content is. I mean, why again? And all they're doing there, it's like limiting CBD. Honestly, it's like limiting the percentage of CBD inside. Because from my understanding, um, and more science may or may not prove this, terpenes alone won't get you high. They have no euphoric value, so to speak. Okay, mostly terpenes are fundamentally um, um, the what you get for your flavoring. Now we are learning that certain terpenes are beneficial for certain things. Again, and these are things that go along with the anxiety or um, 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 sleep aid, or even some are they're saying some are more uplifting, some are more down, which was something that we used to say indicas do this, sativas do this, and I think generally speaking that may be true. Sativas up, indicas down, um, but I think what we will find out then is possibly that I think that some of that might be related to terpenes, and that maybe indicas are normally known for a certain terpene background, or sativas are known for maybe a certain terpene background. I don't have the science to know that. There are plenty out there that do. There are plenty of people that know in the industry, um, that they're paying attention to terpene. Um, what terpenes are in what plants, because once again we are starting to figure out what terpenes are good for or not good for. And I've put the chart up there a couple times, as far as what terpenes there are. And there's, maybe 6 to 8 main terpenes. And there's a couple that really have gained popularity, because of how they work and what they do. But to limit their percentage in any flower is just, again, it's ignorance. Honestly, it's really ignorance. But so we'll see. Now this is, I believe, once again, this is another federal bill, and none of these federal bills ever make it very far. There was a federal bill that was proposing to take the felony act out of growing industrial hemp, and that got nowhere. All these bills very rarely go anywhere or do anything. Now, I think that these bills are probably good ways to address the issues in the farm bill with industrial hemp. And so hopefully if everyone's paying attention to what's going on, we'll actually get the changes in the farm bill that should happen, as opposed to banning things or whatnot, and changing levels of things that are acceptable or not acceptable. So we'll see. We will see. So article, hemp is a good source of minerals, protein, and omega-3s. These are our favorite hemp protein powders. Now, normally I find a hemp product on a list of these best of, but here is an entire best of list of um, different protein powders. These are all hemp. So depending on what you're looking for, you can see on the list, which product you may or may not want to use to go find. All these brands should be available online somewhere. We'll leave this up here for a minute so everybody can take a good look at it and see, and again, I love it because I always say there's almost every best list, whether it's best sheets, best linens, best whatever, there's always a hemp version on there. And then every once in a while there's an actual best. And I know that I feel like these are just as much an ad as anything. I don't know. They all have links to go and buy, and I don't know if whoever does this gets a percentage of that or not. I don't know. But they always include a hemp product, which I think is great. And then this one really just shows, honestly, because again, if you look for your shake to give you a protein boost. Then if you're not using hemp, then that's just ridiculous. It's honestly just ridiculous. And there aren't a whole lot of um, ways to get protein that's not animal based, or even the animal based. I think whey protein is the big one, which is I believe milk. Somehow whey protein comes from milk. Um, but hemp is probably once again the greatest choice you can make, uh, because it's super healthy for you. And again, super high in protein. So if that's what you're looking for, that's great. But it's also got the vitamins, minerals, like I said, the perfect ratio of omega-6 to omega-3. Like, everyone should incorporate a couple tablespoons or at least a day of hemp into their diets. Just nutritionally speaking, it's a great idea, especially in the morning, from my understanding, because it does satiate um, your want to eat. It makes your belly feel fuller longer than other foods. So not only are you getting that nutritional value, but you're keeping your body thinking that it doesn't need food until it really does. So yes, hemp is great. There's many choices of hemp protein powders for many choices or lifestyles, one way or another. So South Carolina has taken a turn because originally some government official in South Carolina, I remember who said this, did not really have the authority to regulate it. But hemp-derived THC drinks are in fact legal in the state of South Carolina. Now, I think it was someone in like their food safety, whatever. They came out and said that hemp-derived THC in drinks or food was illegal in the state. Once again, they didn't have the authority to say that. Much like the DEA says sometimes. No, but and so what we're finding is, once again, hemp-derived THC is legal in South Carolina. Therefore, it's legal in drinks in South Carolina. There you have it. So if you're in South Carolina and you're worried about that, don't be anymore. I'm trying to show off a lot of shoulder here. You know me. So the University of Kentucky, who has been growing industrial hemp for 10, 15 years, at least, in studying it, maybe even longer, 20 for that matter, is studying Fusarum, which is Fusarum head blight in hemp. Okay, now, for the most part, hemp does not have any real pests that cause the grain or fiber to be affected in the crop. Obviously, with the flower, that's a whole new issue. And again, when you're growing for flower, you're more of a horticulturist than you are a farmer anyway. But you have to worry about the same thing that everybody else does when it comes to flower, which is molds, spider mites, and some other things. I'm not saying we should use chemicals for those, but that is the concern for that. But it's interesting because this Fusarum, whatever this head blight is, actually affects wheat, barley, and cereal crops. So now really the main concern is, because I don't think that enough of it is affecting crops that it's become harmful yet. They're just now trying to study it. But what they're saying is if you rotate your hemp with wheat, that may be an issue. Probably more because I'm guessing it goes the other direction. All of a sudden, your wheat has it, and maybe you treat it, but it's left in the soil, and then the hemp comes along and it's not treated. It might pick it up, and so I think that we may, as we move into this whole new American growing of industrial hemp. And again, in most countries, from my understanding, and I'd really like to talk to some French farmers and some German farmers and some Russian farmers and some Chinese farmers. And of course, they're all, growing for the grain or the fiber, not the flour, maybe a little bit of the flour because CBD is now legal. And so they have to be growing it somewhere to get that CBD. They're not importing all of that. And so, just to see if there's anything out there that they are worried about as far as, I think there was a mention somewhere of a weevil once, but I have not heard it mentioned in modern times as actually being. And so maybe, before 1937 in the United States, when we were growing a lot of industrial hemp, maybe there was a weevil that affected things. Even though we were still seeing huge tonnages of hemp, it wasn't like it was, really causing an effect. So, I think we will be moving forward with the more and more worldwide growing and us growing. We're a very agricultural country to begin with. And so, unfortunately, that's why there's a lot of herbicides and pesticides used on a lot of stuff, one way or another. And so it'd be kind of interesting to see what they come up with. And obviously in Kentucky, as it stands, there's only a couple, I believe, insecticides approved, or pesticide, or well, that's a pesticide, insecticide, herbicide. I don't know about herbicides, but I think that there are just a couple that are approved for hemp. And so, because that's the law in Kentucky, is it has to be the insecticide or pesticide, herbicides all have to be approved for the plant you're growing. Well, hemp right out of the gate didn't have any approved. Because they didn't know what they needed or not, because normally you don't need much. Now they have approved a couple, and I should know what those are as far as what they do. And so we'll see what happens here down in Kentucky, and they're studying it. That's a good place because they're growing a lot of hemp in Kentucky still. And Indiana's got a decent amount too. So either way, not a whole lot getting grown in Ohio still, and probably won't be next year unless we change our licensing and all the things that you have to do to grow in Ohio, because it's ridiculous. You'd be better off just to move to Kentucky and buy a farm down there and grow down there than to put up with the idiocracy of the Ohio hemp. And this is the Department of Agriculture. It's all on them. The reason we don't grow a whole lot of hemp in Ohio is because of the Department of Agriculture and the licensing and testing. All this, it's just ridiculous. So anyway. So another, this is a Navy veteran has been arrested in Dubois. And this is the second time. There's a high school football coach right now that is serving time in a prison in Dubois for CBD. And this is a veteran that was all around and didn't get in trouble, I believe, until he was leaving or getting on a plane to fly somewhere. He'd been in the area for a while. And he had his personal prescription. They said it was prescription CBD and the ibuprofen. And they accused him of distributing cannabis by having his own personal use products. And again, no matter even how much that was that he had, 2-3 bottles, because he was going to be gone for a while, whatever it was. Again, this is a zero tolerance type of attitude. Zero tolerance when it comes to cannabis. No CBD, no nothing. 0%. And so, this is a warning to those traveling, obviously. Hopefully somehow this can rectify itself sooner as opposed to later. But It's an unfortunate set of circumstances, and maybe because this guy's a Navy veteran, the United States government might get involved. It might be like, "Hey, what are you guys doing here? This is ridiculous." I don't know. I don't know what our relationship. They're like super rich, and I don't know that if we have much of. I don't know what our relationship is with them, or whether they care about what we say about anything when it comes to United States citizens being incarcerated for just zero tolerance laws. This is once again, this is a warning to anyone. Spread the word. If you're going to Dubai or anywhere in the Middle East, for that matter, I think no matter where you're going in the Middle East, you better do some research to find out how they feel about cannabis. Because again, if there's zero tolerance, then your CBD stuff better be in like unidentifiable jars or whatever. I don't know what to tell you, to be honest with you. I'm not going to tell you what to do, other than probably don't take it or face the consequences, because they're harsh and ridiculous. Just like Russia. And again, I can imagine any American citizen going to Russia. To me, that seems like if you're going to Russia, then you better move there. Because that's where we are with Russia in the world right now. Okay. I don't care if you want to go to Russia, but if you want to go to Russia, don't come back here. Anyway, so that's just insane. Not good. So this is quite interesting. Animal studies are suggesting that an application of CBD may improve the healing of post-surgical and chronic wounds. Okay. Once again, the anti-inflammatory parts of it help with the wound healing. And then again, you also have the fact that it's antiseptic, it's antibacterial, and so it's a very clean substance, so to speak, to put in there for healing wounds. Now, there's a study that I talked about probably a couple years ago that suggested that CBD would strengthen bones after breaking and whatnot, help heal even bone breaks faster. And so its healing properties are, once again, it's amazing. It's quite amazing, honestly, what it can do. Now, once again, these are animal studies, very early. I'm sure that because these prove to be successful, that they will move on to human trials. And just to see about how really effective this is on humans. And so we'll see. But once again, here's a natural substance that may cause to be beneficial to the healing of wounds. And so get another reason to, I guess, add CBD to your medical bag, your whatever first aid kit. Put CBD in your first aid kit. Because they were even talking about how it reduced scar tissue in the recovery of wounds. And so again, once again, this was in animals, but I can tell you that is a huge issue with all surgeries. No one wants a scar. There's been a lot of stuff out there that has supposedly helps with scar tissue recovery and whatnot, and however that works. So we can possibly add CBD to that list. We'll see. We'll hear more about that. I don't doubt it for 1 second. So a New Jersey judge, this is good news, a New Jersey judge ruled that the state cannot label a product as intoxicating, how about that, or restrict its sale if it complies with the laws in the state where it was made. Okay, now this is all about importing hemp products into New Jersey. And so uh, that's what I apologize. I can't read that. What's that say?
Says, yep, broke 29 bones. Here I am walking.
Nice. Good.
Yep.
I apologize because I need bifocals. It's okay. No, I have to. That's going to be new. That's going to be my new role for production over there to read to me comments. Anyway, but and so this is kind of those interesting ones where again, apparently, this all does come down to, and I have often said, and will say again, that the government just can't describe something as intoxicating. No one, except for the people that are using it, might actually be able to do that. But you can't, again, if the government can come along and just say something's intoxicating. Okay, they just say that. They don't know. They hear rumors on the street. Okay, something, even CBD, CBN, CBG, anything. I don't care if it's morning glory seeds. And again, this is true because for a while there was a morning glory recipe, glory seeds. And if you go look at seed packets, and they probably still say this on the seed packet for morning glory, it probably still says on there, for use in gardens not to be consumed or something like that. There was actually a warning on there. Now, they weren't trying to call them intoxicating, but they were saying that they were intoxicating and people should beware, but they didn't make them illegal. And so I really feel like, again, I don't think the government can come along and just say intoxicating hemp is illegal, because once again, then they can say anything made from hemp is intoxicating and therefore it's illegal. It's too generic of a description. You have to say these things are illegal in industrial hemp and then go from there, which you can't do. And usually gets turned over when you ban any one of the substances. We found in most states that have banned the substances. And I can tell you this, just because California the word in California is they lost the first battle only because they didn't get a stay, which means the Governor Newsom, his new ban of THC basically in hemp and legal hemp products, that ban will stay until it goes through the courts. So it is going in the courts. I think that this will get overturned. And so, we'll see what's going to happen. But I do truly believe that this ban on THC and industrial hemp products in California is not going to stand. But it's going to have to go through the court. The judge is not going to put it on stay. So it's effective, and so everybody's hoarding their industrial hemp. They're going to go and buy as much as they can, from my understanding. And then, of course, what do we see after that is a black market. They're going to be selling whatever's left out the back door. Who knows what's going on there. But it is getting challenged, but the stay isn't going through. So we'll see what happens one way or another. I have talked about Isaiah Thomas, NBA player, played for Detroit, ironically. You'll see the irony in a minute. But he started a company 3 or 4 years ago, at least, all with the idea of supplying hemp composites to the automotive industry for whatever they may or may not need them. They have delivered one of their first products, and this is interesting, 1,500 of these, and they didn't say what automotive industry was buying these, but they're actually reusable shipping containers. And so they're used for shipping parts or whatnot. They're not actually parts for cars, but they are replacing a plastic, I believe. Might even be metal. I don't even know what they ship it in now, but now they're making them out of hemp. And so I think that's pretty cool. The company is Flex and Gate. That's who's making these. And again, I know there's and they're in the company that Isaiah Thomas, I believe, owns, is actually out of South America. I don't know that they operate out of the United States yet. Now, this Flex and Gate, they may operate in the United States now. I don't know. I'll have to do some research how far they've gone. I know that when this all started, this was the goal, and here it is coming to fruition. And so I think it's great. And you know, what a great thing for just a random athletic superstar, because he was a superstar, one of the best passers in the game when he played. You know, to be involved in the hemp industry in this way, pushing it forward, because this is one of my favorite things to do in the hemp industry. Hemp composite, replace the plastic. And so, you know, I look forward to hearing more and more about the success of what they're doing, because they're going to kind of corner a market that's going to take everybody else years and years and years to catch up to. So good for them. I love it. I'm going to leave you with, and we'll put this up on the screen and leave it up here for a little while. This right now is the list of approved cultivars of industrial hemp in the United States. I want to thank Richard Rose. This came from the Richard Rose report. And so we'll leave it up there for a minute if you're going to do a screenshot or just see. But, you know, I highly suggest checking out the Richard Rose report. I think it's richardrosereport.com. Richard Rose has been involved in industrial hemp from being one of the first hemp food gurus, you know, to being in the, you know, kind of in the back, but promoting and doing the research, you know, again, into the depth of industrial hemp. And so, you know, definitely you know, I would consider him a mentor of mine for everything that he has done, and someone that I definitely feel like has done the real things in industrial hemp, and one of the rare ones. But he put this together. You know, I don't know. I didn't count how many were on here. I think I was talking about last week or the week before, or not last week, but internationally. And I'll go and see if I can't find the internationally recognized list. But, you know, a lot of these, I think, you know, came over internationally, but a lot of them actually we have bred to be American soil cultivars. And so, you know, once again, very easy to do with industrial hemp, just as easy as it is to do with any cannabis, because it is the most genetically modified plant through breeding, natural breeding, that exists on the planet. There is no other plant that can even come close to how much humans have genetically modified through breeding the cannabis plant. I mean, we're thousands and thousands, you know, when you're talking about what they call strains in the marijuana world, or what we call cultivars in the hemp world. And so, you know, I don't know if there's 200 different kinds of cultivars to choose from any other agricultural crop. Yeah, I can't see that. I can't see there being even 200 different kinds of tomatoes to choose from. And again, because hemp does so many different things for so many different purposes, we continue to try to breed to get the full benefit. I truly realize, I think we're going to increase the size of the seed. That'll be the next thing for the food industry. Okay. We are currently increasing the height of the plant. Once again, Hemp Traders is responsible or part of growing the tallest cannabis plant 24 feet. And again, they're working with cultivars that exist, or probably trying to figure out if they breed this cultivar with this cultivar, is this going to make it even taller? And we will continue to do that to find the best all end. A lot of these are I don't know if a lot of them are, but some of these have to be a lot of them CBD. And what's interesting there is they don't really have, like, we used to buy flower and it might be GG4, but they've bred the THC out of it and boosted the CBD, which would make it an industrial hemp cultivar. Now, I think that once again, because when growing for the flower, it's more on the horticulture side than the farming side, there's some huge, vast, probably difference there as to what's what. But as long as it tests that 0.3% or THC under at the end of the year, it doesn't make any difference. If it's got a name or it doesn't have a name officially, it's legal. Or it's not if it's about. But this is just showing how large the cultivar list has gone, and again, we're going to see more and more because we're going to start boosting a lot more grain or fiber, either way. So, all right, we're going to leave you with one event going on. October 29th, which is Tuesday. It's the last Tuesday of the month. Medical Marijuana Meetup is having the Halloween party at Mad Tree. Now, normally, again, we just had the Medical Marijuana Meetup, which was the first Tuesday of October. Now we're going to skip November, and the first Tuesday of December should be the next Medical Marijuana Meetup locally here in the High State area. This is at Mad Tree. I represent the hemp world, but if you're interested in coming out for the Halloween party, come up with a good outfit, or don't just come out. I'm not saying it's mandatory to wear an outfit. It's fun to participate, but bring your best costume, period. It doesn't have to be weed related. I am going to have references to cannabis on my outfit, but it is not directly weed related. But I am really excited to bust out my I'm going to give you a little preview here. We'll call him Hempy the Elf. Anyway, so that's October 29th. There isn't much else going on in the hemp world. And so I didn't get any questions. I don't have any questions to answer. And of course, my beach thoughts were clearly illustrated throughout the show. If you want to go back and watch again, you'll see. I subliminally tell you everything that I want to as far as my thoughts go. It's actually liminal, not subliminal, but liminal. Anyway, we appreciate everybody watching the High Noon Hemp Show. We will be back next Wednesday at high noon and all the regular hemp channels, X, Facebook, YouTube, and all that good stuff for your viewing hemp pleasure. Remember, reduce, reuse, recycle. Make everything else out of hemp. Having hemptations.
See y'all next week.